I'm telling you, lots of interruptions, but then we have a lot of storm in the air. Just walking around the building, you understand? I'm going to hope that's just a primer, you understand? It's awful dull if it is. It is a color, but you look over there, it's almost like that color over there. So, you know, you just never know. This is the back of the area. Look like they've cut more trees down. We're just in this area. Let's continue there. We were in this area on yesterday and passing through to get to another part of town and noticed the building and it just didn't look like too much was going on, but now we see that it looked like they put this coat of paint on it. If not paint, then a primer, and then maybe it's another color. Hope that's another color coming after this. But it's been a while. And it's been a while. And his servant was hoping, look like they're down in that pipe. And look at that. Remember what we said, how he said that his actual son, Jose's son, said that they hadn't turned the water on in this building for 10 years. So we see that they're in that piping right there. You can see. Look like they're running some new piping in that area right there. They cut down all these trees back here. That's the best thing they could have done. It almost like goes with this one particular unit over here with the light on it that has, you see that? We don't stay down here too long because we're like, when you start seeing empty buildings like this, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of homelessness. And so, we can show you what happened before, where MD got all excited about them cutting down trees. And the next thing you know, we had somebody, a little young boy, want to run up on MD and wanted to steal glory and all. So this is what you have down here when you have areas like this that is so unattended. And it looks like he's been there for a good minute. Look like the one next door look like he's been there for a minute as well. And all. But we wanted to come down here and catch some of this daylight and show you the building. It's been a good minute since we've been down here. And even though it looks like some work has been done, it just doesn't look like it's been a lot. But then you just never know. We still haven't made it on the inside. We've had other things going on. But these are buildings of interest to his servant. These are buildings of interest. Buildings that have, you see those pillars? Do you see them pillars? Do you see them? Them pillars. And it's 8 of them. You see that, right? You see all the windows, see things like that interest is serving. You see that, the lights right there, the underpath, and you see that area up there, perfect spot for the BOP. I mean, it's perfect, you understand, a whole lot. We're just not going to be sharing too much of our vision, like what the Lord has given his servant for the Signature Storehouse, but I'm sure that you can look into some of the things that we've done and see how all that worked together to the point that we're at that REST, all the way where we've made it to the lodge. We made it to the lodge, absolutely made it to the lodge, and all. You can just see the journey and step by step, because like we said, you could have money and all that and no vision. So you get a big old building, like we see so many get a big old building and nothing to put in it. And therefore it becomes non-functional because you have nothing going on the inside. You have nothing going on. So you see, that's why we see a lot of big churches, big buildings and things with no vision, and they can only be occupied or used like on a Sunday or on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. You don't see too many churches nowadays having Friday night, all-night Terry services. You don't see that anymore. Folks are just too busy. But they tell you that they're all about the souls. Let's keep moving. But nevertheless, just saw that, looked over at that. We'll see where they go with that. But it's been a good minute since we've been down here, and You know, we'll connect the last time we were here to now, and what we can see now is like that they've changed, or even the roof part of it. You see the burgundy part that was up top. You see that's all covered with either that primer paint or something like that. They were on the windows, but you can see that that far door, the midsection, their door, and all how they closed up that one area window, and you can see that it's just a door there now. So you just never know if they're gonna like lease. You can see there's a for lease. Now it's for lease. The Rivera, whatever, bought it. He bought it for 1.3. Our bid was 1.2. He bought it for 1.3. He said if he was considered selling it, it would be for $3 million. You know, I don't know the chances of that. You know, even after all of what he put in there in this area, asking for $3 million for a building in this area, and it's not an area where you could like, oh, something's wrong. Not at all, but still in all, it's a little high price. It's definitely high price. But you and I know with the real estate the way it is right now, there's folks that, you know, people are going to want to sell. You understand, because I would just say it like that. There are going to be people that's going to want to sell. There's a lot of things. We're sitting at September right now, but in the place of spirit, I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that's going to happen between now and November. There's a lot of things that's going to happen before this year goes out, and all. And those, even those that really think that they are really way out there, so financially secured, it was almost like what the Lord gave His servant earlier today. He said they use significant. He said to me, this is what Spirit said to His servant earlier, and we had to text it to ourselves, where He says they use significant. He said, but I want you to use sufficient. You understand? Sufficient. And we all know that His grace is sufficient. And the reason why we had to go there is because, and I mean, He's laid out there over there on that area, kind of like reminded me of a moment down there beyond the young fella that did what he did, but another incident with with a man that just came and laid himself right in the front of the area on the entrance, right before the door, and he laid there. And I come around after securing the grounds and everything, come around and ran up on him. And those are the kinds you don't just run up on them because you don't know where they're at. You just don't know where they're at, mental-wise, mind-wise, you understand? So, and I come up around him, and I was being nice with it, you understand? And I didn't come around there, you got to get up. This is, can't you see the no trespassing? And you can see it. It's looking in the face, and it's over there on the other fence. It says no trespassing. And no, you know, you can read. You know, so these folks can read. Even the ones that say don't speak no English, they can read. They know. You know, you see that big N-O, you ought to know something. You know, that's a word all by itself. And, you know, I'm really lifting up in prayer a lot of these males. You look around, you just see a lot of males just like they, you know, doing nothing, you know, just laying around, or, you know, riding a bicycle, 50 and 60 so years old, riding a bicycle, and it's not for exercise. Mother, how you know? Y'all need to stop acting like y'all gonna play with Mother Doris or MD. Y'all know certain things that His servant, when we say things, it's not about guessing. It's not about an opinion. It's LIGHT. And some of the things that MD would really like to close my eyes and act like MD don't see it. But then when we do that, we get whooped. You understand? So when we see a thing, whether media or Facebook or TikTok, anybody want us to share those and never let the video be seen, we still see it. We can't unsee it once we see it. It's almost like being enlightened. Once you enlighten, boop, there it is. And so, nicely asking, you know, you see that now. MD didn't want to get in any trouble, person of color, you know. And so, you know, you see that sign right there, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm supposed to report him at that time. I'm only supposed to, the only contact that his servant was supposed to have is not with him, but with the law, to call the law to have him, you know, removed or whatever. But, you know, we know he would be arrested. That's the only thing, you know, we were told would happen. But nevertheless, you know, I'm really wanting to help him, and so he get up with all the black in him, you know, and he want to act like he wanted to fight. And so, you know, I was definitely unarmed, you see, and had nothing really, you know, on me at the time, because I'm just basically just securing the property, going around the property, making sure that everything is everything, you know, and wanting to help him out. And then all of a sudden he just go all the way black. Now, for those that get offended, y'all, that mean to tell me you know what black is. In retrospect, how some people use it, you know, the only black that MD uses is say to everyone that we all are black. And you have to see that video that we did to tell everybody here come the light. We all are black, and that represents spirit. So you can have a good spirit, you can have an evil spirit, but that spirit is black. And if it had not been let there be light, we wouldn't have been able to see spirit. But nevertheless, here we are. And he just went all the way black on his servant and wanted to cuss his servant out and everything, you know. And so by this time, you know, MD but a little person. And so I went around to get inside the building so I could at least get a shovel or something, you understand? At least I could have something point between the two of us in case it just looked like it was going to go left. And so when I went inside to go get the shovel, and Vicky, God rest her soul, Vicky saw me and she asked, MD, what's going on? I was like, I have someone on the front step, and he's really like, you know, going all out there. So she's like, wait a minute, let me come, I'm coming. So she's like a 6-foot woman, you know, Vicky, y'all see her, I put out there posters from time to time. And she's a big lady. Reminded me of my mother. That's who she was, my mama. And she's like, wait a minute, I'm coming. And she had this tape dispenser in her hand, the one that I gifted to the actual center. And she had that in her hand, and she's like, well, wait a minute. When we went to go around the corner where it was and come down from like where the patio was, I'm with the shovel now. And she has a little tape dispenser. And so she laid it right there at the end of the steps. And so, like, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm a threat to him or nothing like that. So she's laying it down, and I'm like, look at you compared to him. And then here I am with the shovel. And I was like, I don't think like you think. I was like, then, you know, I'm going to take the shovel. And I told her, I said, I'm going to take the shovel. And so she said to me, she said, you going to take the shovel? I said, yeah, I'm taking the shovel. I said, because I'm little, and I'm going to have to have something between us to throw something just in case I do need to run. So she says, all right, you take your shovel. I'm going to put this tape dispenser down. So that's what she did. She put it down. And, yes, I'm getting ready to leave. It's getting a little dark out there. Look like I might have been spotted. But MD can't carry it, and y'all take this the wrong way. But in times that we're living in and everything like that, I encourage any woman that has a mission in this life to do, and you know you can't stop. Since MD won't, you know, carry and can, and have been approved to do so, and all, we won't, because we know MD. You know, we don't play when it comes to that. You know, we will use it. And so because we don't want no one blood on our hand, then hey, we'll go the light way and just have some of that. That's part of our gift packet to Retagua, reaching out to the abused woman of God. Now, some of them just got the fight in them that just need to go away anyway. But, you know, if we can teach them light in the submissive way and the quiet way, hey, all for that. And so we go towards and make that approach. And I mean, when we both come around there, he just all into, he's saying to me, I better not see you out on the street. And he's using the B word and everything he could call. And she's like, what she was doing though, because she's that veteran, been a veteran for 20-some years. She's a veteran. And so she's using that veteran experience. You understand, a nurse in the prisons for 20 years, retired one at that. And she's using it to tie him up because she's calling the law. You know, understand what I'm saying? And so she's keeping him talking like where he's looking like he's getting upset or whatever like that. So here God want to save it, you know, reach out to him and keep him from getting in trouble. You know, he up there like all the black in him coming out. And he's coming after someone who is of color, who was reaching out to help him. And all to keep him from being arrested and all. So he's going off and he's saying what he's saying. And see, he's over there getting ready. I'm getting ready to leave in just a few more minutes. We came down. We saw we were sent down here to see it. That was the fire, to tell you that God's answering by fire. When that light comes, that's why the post, we went to post and put for the title of this one that God is answering by fire. Because every time you see the fire, you tell him, I'm answering by fire. And that God of his servant never ceased to fail. And so as he walking away and threatening and all of that, all of a sudden when he got to the other side of the street, he crossed the street and we're coming back up and to come inside the building. And she goes away and then I'm leaving because I wanted to go way across town to go to that rest place and on and on and on. And as the servant was getting ready, getting in glory and everything, he went to drive, we could hear what he was saying, that, you know, you better not, I better not see you. He said he better not see me out there, right? Better not see his servant out on the street. Now, most people would be afraid. If you saw me, most people would have been afraid. But all of a sudden, when they come to the servant's spirit, what he said, all the servant could do was just bust out laughing. And then out of the place of the spirit came these words, you mean he better not see. He said to me, he said he better not see me out on the streets. But the reverse side of there is no, his servant better not see you out on that street. And then had them 4 sons or anywhere near them 4 sons, honey, they would be like this. And I'm telling you no lie, that's the mother coming out of his servant. They would be like this. If I looked over and said, oh, that's the one that called me a bee. That's the one that wanted to threaten me the other day at that building. All I had to do is say that. And they say, I know they all going to get a phone call. They called each other. They say, you know, they be saying, you know, mother, can you just drop me off up here? I got to meet somebody or whatever, you know. And that's how it would go down. So I had to start laughing at the matter, you understand? So MD have learned from places like that, since I have such a team of security around his servant, I've learned not to put them into any kind of dangerous situation, knowing how they are. So I learned to use wisdom from that young guy who did what he did. I've learned not to be at these buildings late at night, no matter how excited I may be. And all we've seen the actual what we come down here for, and that was that fire. And it looks like there's really not too much going on at this building, and all the trail is still there. That thing over there is still there, and the crane is still there, and the only thing you see is like a fence might go around here and all, but fresh coat of paint or something like that, whether it's primer paint, whatever it is. And you know, they're gonna, you know, those that really want to like blend in, they'll pretty much look around the neighborhood, like the colors or whatever, and then they come like with a neutral color, nothing too extravagant, nothing too way out there. So we're I'm interested to see. MD's not doing another lease. The last lease we did, well, look at that lightning. Did you see that? Look at that lightning over there when it came in the sky. They had to lift up their eyes and saw it. But no, we're not interested in leasing like that. First lease we did was for $2,000. We'll put it right here for a much, much, much smaller building, and all in a handful of people, and all that God still provided. But no, we want our own. We're looking for our own land, a place where we can, the spirit can rest. And I'm telling you, Orlando, Florida in general, all surrounding areas, I'm telling you, you're going to see a move of the spirit like you've never seen the spirit move before. And that's what we are slowed down, and yet you can see the busyness of his servant, but at the same time we're preserving ourselves as God is reserving us for such a time as this. And we have a lot more to share But we are led to this building on today. Again, it's September the 8th of 2024. I'm his servant, high servant mother, founder of I Am Sent Me, builder of the Signature Storehouse, carrier of the blessing of promise. And just before we leave, and the Spirit won't let this leave his servant spirit, I want to share this with you, and hopefully you can hear us in place of spirit, is that this is what the Lord said, even leaving from the large area to come over here, how he wants to make covenant with those that are his in the earth. He want to make covenant with the earth again. Isn't that something? And the servant could hear that moreover as we look into this being the year 2024. And for us, if we put Bop 2 and Bop 4 together, 4 representing earth and 2 representing covenant. And putting covenant and earth together like that, we could hear the Spirit of the Lord saying unto his servant how he wants to make covenant with the earth and those that are his, that are in the earth. You know how it says in earth as it is in heaven, not on earth. It's not on. It says in earth as it is in heaven. And then you hear another part of where we say the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, you see. And so he says, I want to make covenant with them again. Those that are in the earth that are his. And I'm telling you, this is that time like never before. And those that seen the video before, you heard us when we talked about, it's like, what are we doing? We're speaking to America, and what are we doing? Are we living life off a prediction or off a promise? Knowing that a prediction can come and go and change at any time, but promise is yea and amen, is forever. And then the Lord is showing me the outcome, because so many are just looking at now and they're not looking into the future. They're not looking into the beyond. And yet the Lord is showing me that those that are going to stick with this Democratic Party, there's not going to be any mercy, even the church, even upon the church. And we saw what happened with the church in 2020. They closed down. I'm telling you, it was something. And some of them didn't even reopen. So many leaders left during that time, and they left because of COVID. They left because of that illness. They left because of that virus, whatever it was called. And then not only that, but he let me know that you see the light, and then he let me know that those that do vote for Trump, how he's showing grace. Because believe it or not, even those his servant don't vote. But you know why we have to go to that poll? We already shared that, just like we had to do that years and years and years ago, and all. But we pray for those that are in authority. Pray for those that are in high places and things like that. We do. But nevertheless, if you could hear us in place of spirit and all, because those like his servant that really know God is your source, you're going to be all right. Like even with Trump, we say that he going to be all right regardless. And all, we're not going to get into that because we have to wait for another time and a place of spirit for us to do that. But nevertheless, if you could hear us just a little bit longer, we see mercy and grace stepping on board right now. Mercy and grace. And some will receive mercy and some will receive grace. He said back up on that. And say it just like he said. Some will receive no mercy, and others will receive grace and mercy, because it's that double is upon us. But there are going to be some of us that, like his servant and all, we're going to be just fine, because the Lord is our shepherd, and we shall not want. But nevertheless, these are the times that we're living in. We shared about how his people are caught between two opinions and all. And that God that answers is going to be that God that answers by fire. You're going to know. And until then, God's going to be stirring up souls. We even said that celebrities that are against him now are going to turn and change their mind, because they're going to see the effect that the decisions that they make are going to have on them, not just for right now, but years from now. So a lot of them are going to be turning and changing their minds. So we're going to talk about this. Yes, we're going to talk about this, but we came down here because we wanted to actually get this on camera. The building here, saw how the field is looking, but at the same time, as the Lord was telling me about the fire, we get down here and right over there, and it's humid out here today, and all right over there is a gentleman who looked like he's cooking, and he got his fire burning little fire out there he's burning, and that was the whole light behind his servant coming down here on a spirit day, on day 8. So we're getting ready to leave. We have other places to be to before it gets too late. And until we speak again, and all, we do have some lives coming up, so be sure to stay up on the wall. Our schedule is going up on the wall, because not only now do we have things in order, we have things organized. Well, we'll talk to you later. Until then, to God be the glory.